Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Basketball Bulletin. I'm Trevor Lane. Joining me, as always, is Donnie Freeman. Thought we'd jump on here for a little bit and talk some NBA trades. We are just a few weeks away from the unofficial start of trade season around the league. December 15th, when most of the contracts signed over the summer can be traded, usually the unofficial start of trade season. So I thought we'd jump on here, talk some trades. There's a number of players that have already popped up. Donnie and I have been talking about it over the last couple of weeks. We've kept you informed on everything else going on around the league. Guys like Zach LaVine, Sabonis, Morant, all kinds of players that are maybe Trae Young that could be available out there on the market. Thought we would jump on here and take some questions and comments from all of you out there. By the way, if you have not subscribe to the channel yet, please make sure you do so. Hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications as we continue to push for 40,000 subscribers by 2026. It is our goal. It's what we are going for, and we would certainly appreciate it if you would help us along the way. Donnie, how you doing on a fine Saturday here?
I'm just trucking along after that Laker game last night,
Did you watch the game or did you listen to the play-by-play?
So I missed the first quarter, but I was able to tune in for the rest of the game. And it was up and down in terms of how fun it was. But one thing that remains fun is always watching Luka go out there and cook, man.
Yeah, absolutely. He was phenomenal, especially I did a breakdown for Lakers Nation on his passing and what he was doing out there. Austin Reeves was
too, yeah.
He was cooking. I mean, 38 points. It was an offensive display from the Lakers, and maybe not so much on the defensive end, but that's a story for another day.
It was fun to watch Coop too, man. I think Coop needs to get a lot more recognition. Like, he's so good, and the dude's just 18, bro. Like, he is only 18. He's got such a long runway here. He is so good.
I think
he started slow, and everybody kind of ran with that narrative, right? But I think he needs more recognition.
That's the tough part in the NBA. Narratives get set very early, and then they take a long time to dissipate as the season goes on. So if we notice a trend early, like this guy's not performing as expected, that idea that he's not playing well will wind up sticking around for longer than it certainly should, because those early season narratives are tough to get rid of. But tonight, it's a big matchup. We got the Mavs and the Clippers. Now, not a big matchup. These aren't like powerhouse teams right now, but both teams having disappointing seasons. And it's more like when we're talking about the trade front, both teams sitting at 5 wins. Both teams are teams that are being looked at as potential sellers now on the market because they've had such slow starts to the season. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine, I have not double checked, but I'm assuming no Anthony Davis tonight for the Mavs. That's going to be the plan. But AD could very well be on the move. The Clippers could decide, if they see opportunities, to just move on from players. This is kind of a
somebody has to lose matchup.
Exactly. Well, I flip it the other way. Somebody has to win.
Somebody has to win,
pretty much. So this is kind of an interesting game to keep an eye on tonight, because this could push one franchise or the other more towards moving on, because I do think the West is still very open right now. Surprisingly, there have been a number of teams that have not been good. The Clippers and the Mavs are two of them, but they've been a number of teams that we expected to be at least decent, serviceable out there that have not been. And the Clippers, the Mavs, they've really struggled. The Suns have been better than expected, but the Clippers and Mavs have been bad. So these are a couple of teams that could look to sell pieces. They could also fall backwards into the 10 seed, the 9 seed in the West. So keeping an eye on where these teams sit record-wise will definitely matter for the trade front.
Yeah, absolutely. That is it's also important for OKC, man. They are just watching the Clippers. They're hoping they lose every single game, right? So it is what it is with that. But for Dallas, they kind of want to keep losing too, but it's getting some wins every now and again isn't the worst thing, right?
It's a fair point that really the Clippers have no silver lining for losing. The Mavs, there's at least the silver lining of, hey, we may get Darren Peterson, we may get AJ DeBounce, we may pair that player with Cooper Flag, right? With the Clippers, they don't have their pick.
Yeah,
it's just to go into OKC. So it's weird, but Donnie, in this matchup, like, the NBA should be pulling for the Clippers in this matchup, hoping the Clippers will win some games, because the last thing anybody wants, aside from the Thunder themselves, is the Thunder getting another lottery pick.
I mean, they may mess around and get 3 this year. Who knows? They could. It is what it is, man. So yeah, I guess what we really need to be rooting for, if you're opposed to that, is just where the ping pong balls fall mostly. But yeah, Clippers getting losses. Unfortunately, I saw when we played the Clippers, I saw some fans that were like trash talking from the Thunder fan base to the Lakers. Of course, that's normal. But then at the end, they were like, "By the way, thank you for helping us draft." I was like, "Damn."
I'm of the mindset that, I want the Lakers to win, of course, every time they're going to play the Clippers. But otherwise,
Yeah.
I want the Clippers to win some games, because you look right now, if the lottery were to take place currently, the Thunder would have the 7. If it stayed chalk, the Thunder would have the 7 pick and the 9 pick, which is the best case scenario from the Utah pick, because that pick is top 8 protected. So Utah needs to drop some games, which gets us into, there's some comments in the chat asking about a Lauri Markkanen trade. We'll get into that, of course. But let's get into, whoops, I didn't mean to clear that one. Ja to the Wolves or Kings. Let's talk about that. So Ja Morant as a potential trade piece. Now, there was a report out just, I believe it was yesterday, that the Grizzlies to this point have turned away. Yeah, no worries. Have turned away all Ja Morant trade conversations. And that makes sense because, number one, Ja's been hurt and he's not played particularly well. So now is probably not the time to try to move on from Ja Morant. But I will say this, if he's able to bounce back at all, the Grizzlies should really consider jumping on a trade opportunity if it's the right one. Now, I would imagine the offers that, look, it's a very sharky league. The offers that are out there for Ja Morant right now, I'm sure they're crap. Like, I'm sure they're not any good at all. I'm sure they're looking at Ja, they're telling the Grizzlies, hey, he's averaging 18 points on 36% shooting, 17% from 3, and we're rounding up to get there. We're going to give you nothing. You can take our junk for Ja Morant, and that's about it, right? That's probably what I'm exaggerating, but the offers are not certainly what Ja Morant's name value would suggest. However, if Ja is able to bounce back a bit, I do think that he's somebody that the Grizzlies should really consider moving on from. Now, are they going to be able to get fair value for him? That's going to be difficult, especially for a guy that at one point was looked at and is still, to a degree, looked at as the franchise star there with the Grizz. I like Ja with the Wolves. I think it makes sense for him to go to the Wolves. And there's a little piece of me that says, man, if the report from the other day is correct, in Julius Randle being somebody that the Wolves want to sell high on, I wouldn't mind Julius Randle with the Grizzlies. There's some nostalgia baked into that when we talk about. Oops, I pulled my headphones out. There's some nostalgia baked into that when we think about Zach Randolph as kind of the big physical lefty power forward. Julius Randle fills that role. The question would be, though, what else would the Wolves give up, considering that they don't have really draft capital? So I like the Wolves, Donnie, as a landing spot for Ja Morant and pairing Morant and Ant. Morant, Ant. More Ant, I guess.
We'll just stop. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's great.
But Ant's ability to shoot the 3, I think, helps mitigate Ja's deficiencies there.
Yeah.
The defensive prowess of Rudy Gobert, Jaden McDaniels, I think that helps negate Ja's struggles defensively. And then his ability.
You really need a sniper if you're going to play that 4. You really need a sniper in that last spot because the spacing could get really wonky.
It could. And Jaden McDaniels can certainly shoot the 3, so that helps. But yes, and Ant has been great shoot the 3. But yeah, it helps that Naz Reid can be your 4 in that group, and then you just start Naz as your 4. But Jaden McDaniels is shooting, oh my God. I knew he was off to a good start. Donnie, do you know what Jaden McDaniels' 3-point percentage is?
41%.
Higher.
Oof. 45?
Higher.
Oh my God. Really? How many attempts is this? What's the number?
This is on, it's only 3.4 attempts per game, but that's right in line with his
good.
That's his averages. That's his average attempt. It's remarkably consistent. He's averaging just over 3 attempts per game for his entire career. Every season. Year in, year out, 3.1, 3.6, 3.4, 3.5, 3.7, 3.4. So
at what percentage, though?
47% this season from 3.
47%. That's Rui volume, but he's like a couple percentage points better than Rui, isn't he?
No, Rui's been at 48% this season.
Has he stayed there at 48? I thought he dropped off.
He must have dropped a little though. He had to have.
I know there was a time where Rui was like the second or third best in the NBA total. So.
Yeah. I'll have to double check where he's at right now. But
he's basically Rui.
Right. Now, is there going to be regression? Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. Right. There'll be some regression, but there's the decent amount of shooting there to where if you put in, if Naz Reid is in there, yeah, Rui is at 4. Look, Donnie, if we round up
48,
49%, 48.5, we round up. There you go.
Have you seen the clips of Rui going around today about how last game they were just screaming at him, telling him to go here, do this and that. It's so funny because he's so good and he's always in the wrong spot. LeBron had that one sequence where he was like, Rue, get over there.
I highlighted one of those on X super late last night when I was looking through the plays, and yeah, he was on the right side of the floor. He started to cut across the floor, and then LeBron could have corrected him and got him back to the right spot. And like 2 seconds later, he gets the open three and drains it. He's so good shooting the ball. But anyway, if you're able to get Ja Morant to the Wolves, I think it makes some sense. The question is, if you are Minnesota, do you give up Randall and DiVincenzo to make it happen?
For Morant?
For Ja?
No. I think that's a culmination of a couple things. You could sell me on that trade, but I think right now Ja's stock is low.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that in theory you should. I think if you're doing that trade, he's also seemingly disgruntled. You may be able to, and then also like, what's the pick amount in that? Like, you may be able to get a better deal than that, frankly.
Yeah.
I know the salary is the main driver of that, but you may get a better deal otherwise. And then secondly, I think the stock is also pretty high on Randall in terms of how well he's played on this team. We covered that yesterday. And they really went out and targeted DiVincenzo, and he's been big for them in a number of games over the course of the last couple seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You have a younger, more talented player that's more on the Edwards timeline than either of these guys is. And that's where you could really talk me into it. But I just think that he's been really low for the last couple of seasons. He deals with some off the court stuff. He's been better about it, but that's still a history there. And I think the shooting is a real problem. I know Ant can offset that because Ant's developed that part of his game to a high degree. But I'm still not like, I think they'd be largely unguardable, but the trick would be to just lay off of Morant. But if Morant turns back into Morant of 23, then absolutely. Because even in that situation, when the Lakers played them in the playoffs, they sat off him, but he still got a cool 40 every game damn near. So,
but there's a belief out there that Ja Morant, if he gets to greener pastures, will indeed turn back into that guy. That he hasn't just forgotten how to play basketball. He's just unhappy.
I'd hope not, because that's the craziest part about this is that the dude's only like 26. Imagine peaking at like 24 and then already regressing at 26. I just don't know that that's the case for him.
Right.
And there's been a lot of conflicting things. It's like, we don't want you to drive as much to the paint as recklessly. He stops doing that. He said the other day, y'all don't want me to do that, but now you want me to go back to doing it, basically, because they were talking about his low rim pressure and stuff like that. So like, where's the middle line with this? I don't know, but I just think that with that athleticism, that quickness, and also coupling that with the handling, the ability to get by players, you've got at least a all-star level talent there. It's just, has the rest of his game degraded so much that it's not really worth it?
Well, when a dude's shooting 17% from three, people are going to want you to attack the basket. Nobody's going to want you taking that outside shot. Sacramento, should they trade for Ja? I mean, they could. Should they? No, I don't think so. But I mean, look, at a core of building around Ja Morant, Keegan Murray, and Nick Clifford is not the worst thing in the world. But for me, the more important thing for Sacramento is move on from DeRozan, move on from Levine if you can. If you could somehow turn those pieces into Ja Morant, yeah, why not? Go for it. But I'm mostly concerned with getting some of those other guys out of the way, doing what you need to do in terms of your draft pick. If you can get a high pick this year, great. And then build your team forward from there. But you gotta be willing to just say, hey, this whole like we're going to turn De'Aaron Fox into Zach LaVine plus, and somehow it's going to work out for us idea. It's not going to work out. It's time to move.
Like I get wanting to do that, but in hindsight, it didn't work out, and we knew it wouldn't work out at the time. You should have tried to get as much assets as you can. And I understand that they were in a tricky situation because Fox was like, I want to go to San Antonio, this and that. But still, you could have probably got a better deal than that if you were to trade him elsewhere. The thing was that San Antonio was like, oh, we don't really need this guy. You know, we want him. He wants to come here. We don't really need him. So if you want to execute this trade, then it is what it is. And in terms of LaVine, I think that it's unfortunate because I think he's really good. I just don't know what the direction is with him or with the rest of these guys. I just think they should ultimately trade off all these guys, try to get assets. And no, that means I don't think they should trade for Ja. I think they should just really tear it down and take their time. Mm-hmm. However, the problem with that is do you trust them to do an actual good, honest rebuild? Like, are they able to do that? Because they've tried 17 years, right? Yeah. It shouldn't take anybody that long to put the pieces together to at least make it to the playoffs. And somehow it did for them, right? So do you trust that organization to do it? I don't think so. So that's where maybe like the job piece, you've already got one foot in the door. Okay, fine. Just put pieces around him and Keegan and maybe Neek, and then you go from there. Maybe you could be a good team one of these years.
Yeah.
But I don't think they should do it. I think they should still, even if it means they spend years at the bottom, hopefully not another 17 years, but I think they should ultimately just sell these guys, man.
Now, I do think Johnny here has a good point on Morant to Miami somehow.
It's a good spot for him.
Yeah, I think for Ja Morant himself, that may be the best situation because he's going to have to fall in line. He's going to have to fall in with Heat culture. Now, the only problem is they essentially run like a revved up version of the offense that he hated in Memphis last year.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. And Ja didn't like that offense. Now he doesn't like the offense he's got now in Memphis. He goes to Miami and he's running that same offense again. You're probably still going to get unhappy Ja Morant. Although maybe it's more difficult to be unhappy if you live in Miami compared to Memphis. Maybe that's
part of it.
Maybe that's it.
Maybe he'd like the lifestyle there more overall. Who would they be giving up? Would they be giving up Hero in this trade? Or?
That's the thing. Like, and Tyler Hero was great when he returned for them.
Because if I'm Miami, I'm not sure I'm doing that either. Like, I think you have stability. You know what you got with Hero. Mm-hmm. It's not a humongous shift, certainly right now, between the two players. I would rather have Hero, especially with his shooting and stuff.
Here's where you do it if you're Miami. Is if you find out from the league, and they're still waiting to find out, if you find out from the league that you can use Terry Rozier's salary in a trade, okay, now we're in business, right? You're talking about that expiring $26 million. Whoever you trade him to, he's never going to suit up, but can you trade that expiring salary or not? Yeah. And if the answer is no, then obviously that could be tough. And then you're talking about a deal around Andrew Wiggins, and could you do Andrew Wiggins and Norm Powell? But then you're probably giving up too much from the Heat side in terms of just their overall depth. And they've been good this season, so do the Heat have a reason to go make kind of I don't want to say questionable trade because Morant is certainly talented, but a trade that requires you to upset the chemistry of your team. I don't know if that's something they want to do or not. But Terry Rozier, if he is a piece that is movable, then you can look at stacking up. Are you willing to part with Kel'el Ware in order to get Ja Morant and then stack up a few salaries from there with Terry Rozier providing salary ballast and then the real value coming in the form of a Ware, Jaime Jaquez, Iakashonis, Drew Smith, those types of players, and then whatever draft capital you can get. Not saying you stack all those guys, just those are some of the players to choose from.
Yeah, I think it comes down to a couple of things. Are you able to retain Hero? Because I think right now Hero is a more valuable player, and I think he would be great in Memphis. But again, I don't think they're trading him in this package. Are you able to retain him? And then two, is Ja your pre-agency acquisition? Because they want that cap space. You'd effectively be sacrificing a big chunk of it if you were to pull in Ja. So is he your pre-agency decision? Is he your guy? Or do you think you can maybe get somebody else?
Yeah, that's going to be, Miami, every time there's a big name out there, they're involved. They get in the mix.
I mean, they want to be involved. They try to be involved. They try to snag that guy.
Yeah.
They try to get Beal too. They can't snag these guys.
I mean, it actually.
That may be for the best. But...
yeah, they were saved from themselves. We appreciate the super chat here. Could Atlanta sign Austin Reeves if Trae walks? I'd love him here. So let's take a look at Atlanta's spending power right now and what they could do if Trae Young were to walk away. Trae Young does have a player option, did not come to terms on an extension, has not yet anyway with Atlanta. Atlanta has played fairly well without him. I just did radio a couple days ago in Atlanta, and one of the big conversations out there right now is this team better without Trae? And even if you say, no, we're not better without Trae, but it's not that big of a drop, then maybe you do look and say, do we want to be the team to pay Trae Young his next contract, or do we want to move on from now? If that's where Atlanta is, I would highly suggest that they try to trade him by the trade deadline here. But let's say that Trae Young is off their books next year. Where does that leave Atlanta right now in terms of their cap? Well, if Trae Young is off the books, they would indeed be a cap space team. They would have some spending power. No, wait. This is with Trae's cap hold sitting on their books right now. So if you take that away and they don't bring back Porzingis, yeah, they would have plenty of spending power to go after Austin Reeves or just about anybody else that they would want.
Yeah, the trick is that Austin Reeves isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
That's the thing about it. He's not going anywhere. Because two reasons. One, he enjoys being in LA. In fact, there have been some reports recently that he's willing to take a little bit less if it means he could stay. Secondly, the Lakers aren't going to let him walk. The only reason that Reeves would leave LA is if hypothetically they implode in the playoffs again, and it looks like that pairing doesn't work, even though it looks like it works again. If it somehow looks like that backcourt pairing doesn't work, and then that maybe they sign and trade him or something like that, but he's still not leaving.
Yeah, I would be surprised based on everything he has said. Has been, he could have been drafted and said no, told the Detroit Pistons, no, don't draft me. I want to be a Laker. He made the gamble that if he caught on with the Lakers and did well with the Lakers, undrafted, that would mean more than doing well with the Pistons as a second-round pick. And that definitely paid off for him. And now he's going to get a big payday. But I don't see them moving. I mean, look, there are a lot. Donnie, have you seen the Mavs fans today that are really
how they didn't get him?
How they didn't get Austin.
The only thing about that is that if they did, they wouldn't have been a lottery team, so they also wouldn't have got Cooper.
Fair.
That's the other part of it too that I don't think gets talked about enough. But just naturally in the trade, Nico we know he's a moron, but just in general, he's especially a moron for not getting Reeves back. I don't think the money lines up either, though. You'd have to add more from the other side, right?
If you put Austin, well, yeah, I mean, you would take out.
You could make it work.
Take out Max Christie, and I mean, you could have made it work. Like, well, you could have made it work, and like that's the bottom line. There were other pieces you could have put in and made it work. But yes, and I do think the Lakers probably said no, we don't want to put in Austin Reeves. Like, I'm sure the Lakers wouldn't have been as excited about giving Reeves up in that deal, but Luka is Luka. But yeah, I mean, obviously Reeves would be a great fit at the Mavs. He would be a great fit on the Hawks. Let me ask you this. Would the Hawks be better with Austin Reeves instead of Trae Young?
Oh, right now?
Right now. How crazy is it that we can even have that conversation?
You know what it is right now, Austin Reeves looks like an all-NBA player. So the answer is yes. Definitively yes.
If the All-Star vote is right now, is Austin Reeves an All-Star?
Oh, yeah, he's an All-Star. But like I said, he looks like an all-NBA player. Like he's so definitively yes. By the way, really quick, the draft being rigged or not doesn't matter if you're not able to get a lottery pick. So that was my whole point.
Right. Yeah. If they won too many, they would not have been in the lottery.
Yeah. So that just literally wouldn't have been possible, which is why the rig thing is kind of weird, because if AD and Clay and Kyrie don't go down, like they're not in the lottery either. So
I think that Trae Young is underrated.
Yes, absolutely.
But the crazy thing is the real separator between Austin and Trae is the defense, and it's the defense in favor of Austin.
I think Austin is a much better defender. And a lot of it is actually just the size and the effort, because he could get lit up. Frankly, anybody could get lit up, but he's much better and bigger at it, or much better at it and bigger than Trae. And that really does matter a lot. So I think that you can exploit Trae on that end in ways that you can't. But I think Trae's obviously still got the same ceiling, which he's a better passer, a better playmaker.
Sure, absolutely.
Those things are still true. And I think that for some of the stuff, it's a wash in terms of like off the dribble, scoring, things like that, like pull up shooting. I think some of these things are a wash or slightly in Trey's favor. But the sheer fact that it's a discussion isn't great for Trey. It's great for Austin. And right now, recency bias and all, Trey's not playing. Austin is. He looks like an all-star, all-NBA. I can't really say in good faith that it would be Trey, even though Trey has more cachet. That's the weird thing about it, like name-wise. Like, if you tell me Austin Reeves is a all-NBA player or, you know, an all-star, etc., he doesn't pass the name test. You know, I can understand with Trae Young or Ja Morant because these guys have much more cachet. And so it's like, what the heck is Austin Reeves? But he's been killing it, man.
And Trey was a 5th overall pick. He
was,
you know, in the Luka trade on draft night, all that kind of stuff, you know, compared to an undrafted guy. But yeah, that's crazy.
That's been so good, man. He's been amazing. I mean, for people that don't know, by the way, he's put up like 28. What is it? 28, 5 and 6, 28, 5 and 7.
Austin?
Yeah.
I think he's even above that right now. I mean, he just dropped 38. What's he at on the season? He is at, oh no, you're right. 28 and a half, 6 and 7 for Reeves on 52% shooting from the field, 35% from three. The 3-point percentage finally starting to climb back up, plus 9.4 free throws per game, and he hits them at an 88% clip.
Okay, so let's chop off 3 free throws just because people don't think that whistle will translate. Fine.
So he's 25, 6 and 7.
Like still, like, okay, you know, he's still killing it, man. And he's also been one of the most efficient guards in the NBA at finishing around the rim. Last I checked, he had like an 80% finishing percentage at the rim, which is insane. His defense has been better than you would think based on the way that the Lakers defend with him out there. So he's been awesome. And I don't think people keep up with him enough.
They've been a better team defensively with him on the floor than without, and that's a pretty impressive thing for a guy who got shredded for his defense all summer. Yep. Mamadou said, do you guys see all the Lakers hate from NBC and Prime analysts? Donnie, do you know what he's talking about?
I'd assume it was UD. They got asked, I don't know if you saw the clip earlier, but they got asked if the Lakers, what their ceiling is. And I think Dirk said that he thinks that they could be a really good like Western Conference team, and that UD is just like, hell nah, because I don't trust their defense, this and that. And he was like, also, you know, I can't put them above some of the other teams and things like that. But it wasn't a particularly nuanced conversation about them. I don't know if it was particularly hate either, but it was mostly just that. I'd assume that's what it is.
I think there's a couple things to look at. Now, they're the 2 seed in the West right now, but they have a great record, 14-4, but they also don't have as good of a net rating or point differential as you would expect from a 2 seed. And their net rating, which would suggest they're more middle of the pack. But Donnie, I think part of that is because the way they're playing, because they're really turning it on in the fourth quarter, which is dangerous. They've also had a stretch here of teams that they've played the last 6. There was the good win was against the Bucks, second night of a back-to-back, but they haven't been playing difficult teams. To their credit, though, they're beating the teams that are in front of them. But yeah, I mean, like, I get why when you look at the Lakers' defensive rating, it's like 17th. They're certainly suspect on that side of the ball. Their net rating is not as good as you would expect. I think part of that is due to the way that they're playing and the way they're just turning it on late in games. Fourth quarters, they're like, I want to say the 5th or 6th best defense in the NBA in fourth quarters. So they are picking and choosing their spots to a dangerous degree, frankly. But I also think that if you believe the Lakers are going to make a real run this year, I think it's fair to say that you also need to believe that they're going to make some moves by the trade deadline, because I do agree, even as somebody who covers that team every single day, I look at the Lakers and say they couldn't even get to the West Finals and they're not as good. No, I think they absolutely could get to the West Finals. If they really want to come out of the West, though, and if they really want to increase their chances, if they want to raise their ceiling as a team, they need to add some pieces to this group, specifically athleticism on the wing, defense without sacrificing too much shooting. Tall order, but I think to completely dismiss them is to also dismiss the idea that they could make midseason moves. And if there's one thing we've seen from this team, it's that they tend to make midseason moves.
Yeah, Rob has been willing to do that. So I will say that that's a thing. On the defense, do you know who the Lakers' best 2-way player has been this season?
Best two-way player by what metric?
Just going across both sides. I did look into B-ball index, so I do actually have an answer for you.
Okay.
It's you may expect it, but maybe not. You do again have to consider the offense.
Best two-way player. Is it Austin Reeves?
Actually, it's Luka.
It's Luka. Oh,
it's Luka.
You know what? Luka is one of the top guys in steals this year.
Yeah. Luka's grading out with an A- rank defensively. He's been the second best defensive playmaking ranked player per B-ball index on the Lakers, behind Smart.
Very nice. It's those steals, and you know what he is. Iztok Franco was tweeting about this last night. He is getting up there too in charges drawn. He's one of the top steals guys.
Yep.
And so we think of Luka as not a good individual defender, but two specific metrics he's doing really well in this year, and that's the charges drawn and steals.
Yeah.
And so those are stops. Those are immediate stops of turnovers that he's forcing on opponents, and it's why the Lakers have actually been a really good turnover team in terms of generating turnover. They've turned the ball over a ton themselves, but they've been really good at forcing turnovers, and a big piece of that is Luka.
Yeah, so he's also responsible for like 50-something points a night too. So
that tends to help.
that matters a lot. But like that's kind of, I think that's important to this team. Is he's not? I think he gets covered the wrong way defensively, especially a couple of years ago at the finals thing where they were like, "Oh, the blow by percentage, all this other crap,
right,
made up stuff that comes out of nowhere." You have to, I think, with him account for his playmaking. He's great at getting those steals. He's got quick hands, but he's not got the quickest feet. So if you're only going to grade him on that scale, I think that's where he gets incorrectly judged. But he's very smart, very savvy, and he's able to, I think, get his hands in those positions to strip the ball and turn that into stuff for the other side of the court. So, I mean, if you're going to consider the defense in ways like, oh, they don't have enough Herb Joneses, Jared Vanderbilt's not playing, Marcus Smart, how much can you rely on him? Then okay. But I do think that they've got a ceiling here that's higher than I think most people realize because of the net rating stuff, like you were saying.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's go here. And again, we appreciate the super chats, guys. Yep. Jay Drake said, Klay or KCP a buyout candidate? Thoughts on Saddiq Bey, Ochai, Justin Champagnie as trade targets? So let's take a look at contractually where things are. So typically for buyout candidates, what they need to have is you need to have a combination of three things. You need to be on a bad team, you need to be a veteran player, and you need to have a expiring contract. Those are typically the three ingredients needed to create a buyout candidate. So for example, we look at Klay Thompson. Is he a buyout candidate? Probably not, because he's got another year on the book, 17.4 million. So if you're the Dallas Mavericks, for example, and you're going to buy out Klay Thompson, what that's going to do, like, I know we just saw Bradley Beal get bought out, right? We saw it with Damian Lillard. The teams accepted dead money on their books. Those were very extreme situations, and it's rare. So if you are the Mavs and you're going to buy out Klay Thompson, what you are eliminating is a world where next year you can use his $17.4 million expiring contract as a trade chip if you buy him out right now. So that's in part why we typically see the buyout market pick up after the trade deadline, is because let's say Klay's contract was expiring this year. The Mavs would want to go all the way up to the trade deadline and see, does a trade come along where we need Klay's contract to make a deal work? And then if not, then we can go ahead and do the buyout. But Klay, I don't see as a buyout candidate because he's got 2 years remaining on his deal. I believe the same holds true for KCP. Let me double check here. Yeah, because that player option next year, it would be the same thing. That would put the dead money on the Grizzlies' books. So I don't see either guy as a buyout candidate because they both have 2 years remaining on their contracts.
Yeah, both these guys have been pretty bad too, relative to expectation. Sure. KCP's also still not remembered how to shoot again since leaving Denver. So there's that.
What's he out on the season?
31.5.
God, come on, KCP.
He legit forgot how to shoot, man.
I expected
but
a bounce back from him this year, and it just
yeah. I think you could explain it away with Orlando, like the playmaking and all that stuff, but it
Mhm.
still hasn't really been the case. I don't think Memphis has great playmaking either, but certainly was better than what we saw down the stretch from Orlando. Anyway, so neither guy has been great. Clay is starting to come alive. His percentages have risen in November, so he's trending upward. But still, I don't think either guy is a guy that I would be mostly interested in trading for. But this is about buyout. I think both of these guys could wind up being buyouts, but I do think we would try to trade them first if you were either of these teams. And then as a last resort, if needed, if the player asks out, etc., you would buy them out at that point.
And then as far as Sadiq Bey, Ochai Agbaji, Justin Champagnie, sure, those could be kind of secondary targets for as trade targets for any team. I mean, I'm assuming it's a Lakers question, but I don't know if they're going to be like the top of the list for anybody. But those are interesting guys.
Yeah,
that you could look to move on from. I think to me,
I wanted Clay. He was pretty good last year at the time. And I think a lot of what's wrong with Clay, sorry to cut you off, is
no, you're fine.
He doesn't have a Luka anymore. Like if he had a Luka, I wouldn't be as worried.
I think Clay probably had Austin Reeves nightmares last night.
Oh man, did you see that?
He got cooked.
Austin got him a couple times.
Oh.
Man. Oh my God. Clay was thinking this was like 22 or 23 where he was able to stick with him a little bit, but no, not anymore, man. Austin got him a few times.
He was, yeah, I mean, absolutely.
And Clay did everything that a defender should be doing. Austin just was good enough to finish the shot.
And then wasn't it the Luka hit the three, when a defender looks like he totally has Luka locked up and then Luka just shoots it over him anyway. He did it to Flag once, but he did it to Clay too on a 3. And you're just like, what are you supposed to do at that point?
He smacked Clay's ass and then smiled in his face.
Yep. That was great.
When I saw Luka smile in his face, I was like, man, if I was a defender, I'd be so tight if somebody freaking smiled in my face like that after hitting an impossible shot. I would be so mad.
That was reminiscent of Kobe and Alvin Gentry.
Oh,
back in the day when he did that when Kobe was going off against the Suns back in the day. Okay, let's go here. Oh, Donnie, look at this. Power said these guys hated on BI so hard. Now they're looking stupid. Donnie,
I always thought BI was great.
Well, he's very good. The question has always been with Ingram, can he stay healthy? Yeah. And so far he has. Now in the past, that again, his most games played was 79, which is great out of 82, but he did that as a rookie. Ever since then, his highest amount of games played was 64. He's never played enough games since his rookie season to qualify for an NBA award. So that's going to be the question. And I'm not wishing injury. I like Brandon Ingram a lot. I hope he stays healthy, but that was always part of the calculus with him. When he's on the floor, he's very, very good. But I just think it's incredibly ironic that you and I are getting called stupid, and he used the wrong there in calling us stupid.
Oh my God. Only a teacher would notice that, man. I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice that?
I didn't even look hard enough at it, man, because I just read it and I was like, all right, whatever. Only a teacher would notice that, man. But this is one of those where I think at the time, because it's been a while, we were like, oh, who do you want to be the team to pay BI? And I think context matters, right? He was hurt. I don't think he even played for the duration of the season. And I think we said, you may have some concerns, but you have, I think, enough good players around him that it should work out pretty well. But maybe we came off a bit more harsh than that.
Well, the question was, under this CBA, can you pay Brandon Ingram, second best player on a good team, money? Oh,
that's right. That's
right. And I looked at him as more of, he's probably the third best player on a good team. Well, right now the Raptors are winning, and everybody's fine with that as long as they keep winning. Look, winning solves everything. Solves all your problems. So if that's the case, they keep winning. Sure, no problems playing Brandon Ingram. What they did. And there you go. So you got to be happy with that.
That stands for mostly everybody that was going to be a 38, 42-ish million guy as a third option on the team.
It's the Zach LaVine conversation. It's all those guys.
Stance, all those guys.
And I want BI to be very good. I hope he's good. I hope he stays healthy and stays on the floor. And I love what the Raptors are doing right now. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go here. Roy said, Lakers need to ask the league, can they talk to Malik Beasley? We could use him off the bench or
Nope.
definitely make a trade for Clay. I don't see
Nope.
after what the Lakers did to Clay last night. I don't see any way the Lakers, the powers that be, huddled up and said and watched Clay play last night and said, yeah, we want that. I don't think they want that. He hit a few shots, but you need somebody who can defend. That's the biggest thing for them.
Yeah.
They need defense and athleticism. You tell me you can get Clay 5 years ago? Oh yeah, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever. Sign me up. Absolutely. Yeah. You are moving heaven and earth to get that player. This player, especially with another year under contract, I'm just not that interested in him. Period.
So I'm gonna just cover the Malik part. I agree with the Clay, but so I don't know if it was just contract year Malik, but he was amazing last year in Detroit. Extremely good. Unfortunately, due to the other stuff, lost that deal. Still impending, so who knows what that all turns into. But he wasn't able to play for the Lakers effectively. He had some good games here and there, especially after the trade immediately. But he very quickly turned into the guy that was not making any shots at all unless the game was basically over. And I wouldn't want that back. Yeah. I don't know if we haven't had this problem for the last few years. We haven't really talked as much about it, but there was a stretch there where guys were literally coming and being unable to shoot. And then it was like, is it because the lighting in here? Like what is the reason behind this? And he was one of those guys.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's that concern with Beasley, but the league has to clear him as well.
And that's the bigger thing. He's still impending because they haven't even cleared him.
On top of that, even if he is a free agent right now until the middle of January, the Lakers can't sign anybody. So,
that's true. They don't even have the money.
Right. They're so close to the first apron where they're hard capped, they can't sign anybody right now. So they have to wait till mid-January to use their 15th roster spot anyway. This point is being made by a few people saying they traded for Russ even after they said he's with us in a playoff series, traded for Russ after what the Lakers did to him in the 2020 playoffs. Yes, they did. 2 years down the road, they traded for him for Russell Westbrook. But if you look at everything the organization has done since then, they have arguably been a little bit hesitant due to the wounds of the Russell Westbrook trade. They've been paying for those sins since then. I would hope that that if anything was going to teach them that lesson, it was that trade. I can't imagine them saying, "Well, we tried it with Russ, so let's try it again." They would be out of their minds.
And also, it was the offseason following the title. So the repeat year was the year that they did it. Once again, context matters. Firstly, they tried to get a number of different guys. Russ was just the one that they landed on because there were other guys like DeRozan, other players like Dame that they were potentially trying to grab. Russ was the one they landed on. Secondly, they came off of a playoff series where literally everybody was terrible. LeBron had to pull KCP to the side and say, shoot the effing ball, right? Right. All these guys are dropping bagels. They're all bad, right? And that they had really high expectations as they got healthy, but they got hurt again in the playoffs. And that basically ended that after they were up on Phoenix. And then also they watched Brooklyn, and this is the most important piece, put those three guys together, Harden, Kyrie, KD, and said, oh, that's what we're doing. So we need the firepower to match that. And that's what they did. And it didn't wind up working out. It is what it is. But I think, again, context matters. And that I think they talked themselves into it can work because XYZ, we put these players around. And then also the final piece of this is that Russ, if you remember that Washington team, they were bad and they went on a tear to make it in the playoffs. And Russ was a humongous part of that. So he didn't look like he was washed or anything like that at the time. So I think you could really explain it away. But context matters.
Yeah. I mean, he was always going to be a tough fit. They were gambling that talent would outweigh that. Kevin said OKC SGA locked up Kyrie in the 2024 playoffs. If the Lakers play OKC in the playoffs, Austin Reeves will be ineffective. That's going to be the big question for him, right? I mean, when the athleticism ramps up, the attention to detail ramps up come playoff time, can Austin still be successful? Because that the last couple of years that he was the first year he made the playoffs, the last couple of years he's not been. So the question that will need to be answered in order to really get that big top tier money for Austin Reeves, will be playoff time. So yeah, look, that's going to be true of a lot of players though, running into OKC in the playoffs. I think a lot of teams in the West are going to be coming into the playoffs hoping someone else knocks out OKC before they have to deal with them. But yeah, that's going to be a challenge for sure. It's part of why I think the Lakers need to add more athleticism at other places in order to help mitigate some of that effect. Because if you lose the turnover battle 19-11, you lose. That's it. Game's over. You're not beating OKC when they enjoy that big of a discrepancy because of the shot attempt difference that you're going to see. So yeah, that's going to be the challenge. And that's going to be the challenge for any team that's playing OKC.
Yep. So I thought he was mistaking them for Boston, but Kyrie was better against Boston than he was against OKC. Kyrie's game log against OKC had a 20-point game, a 9-point game, a 22-point game, a 9-point game, a 12-point game, a 22-point game in the final game. Like, he had a really rough series against OKC, but he was good against the Clippers. He was good against Minnesota as well, but he had a really, really rough OKC. And then Boston is the one where he gets flamed for because it's the finals, of course. It was 12, 16, 35, 21, 15 in terms of game points. But yeah, I think that's going to be the most important thing. Like I said to you off camera, I believe, I don't think Austin's getting paid so much for what he's doing anymore because he's already shown it. I think it's all going to be about the playoffs, in terms of him and the way that this team looks, and they're going to go from there with the decision making. So it's going to be a tough one, but I think that's also where LeBron is also very important, because we saw it a number of times last night. Teams are still doing that, like blitzing and selling out and banking on the Lakers so far being a poor shooting team, but you still are putting LeBron a lot of times in a situation where he's in a 4v3 and he'll just dissect you. So like, I think that's where this team has an element that the Mavs team did not have in that third guy that's able to do that.
Yeah, and that third guy being LeBron James.
LeBron of all people. Like,
right?
I know he's 41, right? And a much diminished version of himself. And he's definitely still rounding out into form. He's nowhere close to what he'll be if he makes it healthy to the playoffs. He's nowhere close to what he'll be after he catches a rhythm. He could still get much better than this, but it's still freaking LeBron. And at the bare minimum, he's still a supercomputer. He's still able to make those plays. So I think that's where it's different. I saw a comment that flew by. They were like, man, imagine this Lakers team with the Dallas Mavericks role players. I was like, holy crap.
Right.
But
I mean, that's because that Mavs team was built around Luka. And that's why I saw Mavs fans last night when we were doing the live post-game show. We went over and looked at the Mavs Reddit just to see, how they were doing there. And somebody said something to the effect of, man, can you imagine, like, our team's actually playing well, we're just still losing. Imagine this team with Luka on it. We would be so good.
It's true.
And I'm like, yeah, that's not wrong.
Yeah, like they played like 15 or whatever clutch games. That means that they're able to hang in it. And even last night they hung in and then just kind of finally dropped the rope. Imagine having Luka in there. Like, that'd be insane, man. So yeah, I think that like I was saying, though, this team has an element that the other team didn't have. Now, you could say the same the other way. Like, the other team was a better defensive team, things like that, maybe better fitting role players. But at the end of the day, I think that third star should be very important. And I don't know if, like, you can look at Austin's career and say, okay, every year he's gotten better. This is the trajectory he's on. But it's still kind of hard to account for a player not just stagnating. He's continued to ascend. Right. And he's gotten better and better and better. And I don't think that's going to fall off. Not because we're starting to get to the point where we're seeing a big enough sample size where it's like, oh, this is just who this guy is. And so I think having three guys that can be your primary on any given night, and then you have somebody else that you also didn't have last year in a center, I think that stuff matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely it does. Johnny said, my boy Keon Ellis, please. He'd be a nice fit. I still think you need another piece if Keon Ellis is one of your additions, but I would love to add him to the team. I think a lot of teams, though, would love to add him, except weirdly not the Kings. Like, play the guy. What are we doing?
Yep.
All right, guys. I do need to run in just a moment here, but I think the key here is that there are a lot of teams that are going to be, I think, very ready to make moves. I think we're seeing a big differentiation between the haves and the have-nots in the NBA. Trae Young for LaMelo Ball, straight up. I think there needs to be a 3-team trade. Ja for Trae for LaMelo.
It's like you do the what musical chairs. You
Musical
just move,
chairs.
move from one chair down.
Musical chairs, absolutely. But we've got a lot of teams that are going to be in sell mode.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of teams that are going to be in buyer mode right now around the NBA. And there's not a whole lot of kind of in the middle this year. So like the Pacers, the Wizards, the Nets, the Hornets will probably all be in sell mode to varying degrees. Some of the other teams will be looking to buy. The Celtics could look to sell to move a little bit of salary. Then we go look at the West. The Pels, the Mavs, Kings, Clippers, Jazz, maybe Grizz should all be in sell mode. Other teams all be in buy mode. And there's not a whole lot of teams that where you're like, I don't know what this team should be. There may be a few teams that don't realize they should be selling when they should be, but I think they will by the trade deadline. So that's a decent amount of teams with a lot of talent that are going to be selling. There's also a lot of buyers on the market. So I think we're going to get a very, very active trade season around the NBA.
Should teams like Phoenix or Minnesota be big buyers?
Buyers as long as it's done with an eye towards the future, not like buyers as in,
well, say Phoenix trades for, I saw it in the chat, get Trae Young in Phoenix. Say like they were able to pull off a trade like that, for example, or one of these other all-star guards that's on the market seemingly. Would that be the right decision to make?
Yeah, if you can get a piece that you think is like long-term, this guy fits with Book. Yeah, sure. They can be a buyer in that situation.
Yeah.
I can see that. But that's the key, is finding somebody that fits with Booker. And frankly, the Suns right now, they've had a better season than anybody envisioned at this point.
Yeah, but remember we were talking about how they were all shooting guards and centers during the offseason.
And they're finding ways to win. They're doing well defensively. They're doing
that Mark Williams over there is kicking butt, dude. Mark Williams has been awesome. Several guys have been really good. Brooks has been really good too. I saw a comment earlier that said we need to give Brooks more credit. Because everywhere he goes, he's been a winner. I was like, damn, that's actually low-key kind of true, isn't it?
What, Dylan Brooks?
Yeah. I know that everyone hates him because of who he is, but it's kind of true.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there was also remember the Lakers' game plan when they played them in the playoffs was let Dylan shoot.
He's
much better than that.
Better of a player now, though.
Yes,
you can't do that anymore.
No,
like you can't play him that way. He's worked on his game, but you are right. He was maybe a bit over. Like he was a bit ahead of himself when he said that. He recently was saying he didn't have any confidence in that in the I poke bear stuff anyway. Like it's like he was doing the most, but he was a winner, man. And I think that he should get more credit. I agree with that. Somebody also said Grizz culture died when he got traded, and I was like, hey, that may be low key kind of true.
Somebody in the chat says y'all are Grizzlies haters.
Dang, I was quite literally
just talking about how good they were.
We were just saying they had a good guy.
They had a good guy, but I want them to be, I want the Grizzlies to be good.
Yeah.
I think they.
You want every team to rebuild.
I just think I don't feel like the Grizzlies culture, what it's been historically with this group that they have right now. Cedric Howard, yes, but some of these other guys, not so much, particularly like Ja. I just think it may be time to move on from Ja. Now, if Ja can go back to being 24-year-old Ja, what he was before, great.
Yeah.
Great. But if he can't,
say that earlier?
I don't think this necessarily fits.
I feel like we said that earlier. Didn't we say that if Ja is what he used to be, then it's fine?
Yeah.
But he's not been that. I don't think it's being a hater, being honest. It may not be what you want to hear, but it's being honest. He's not been that. That's not a hot take. But if Ja is able to be that player, then I think that they're fine. I don't even think they need to trade him, for the record. Because if he's unhappy, but they are able to reconcile it with him, then fine. But also on the Ja piece, you were unhappy under the last coach after a while. You're unhappy under this coach. At what point are you just a common denominator? Genuinely speaking, at what point are you just a common denominator?
It's true.
You have to figure out what you want also, right? But I like what the Grizzlies have otherwise. I like Coward. I love Jaren Jackson, even though he can't rebound worth anything. I love him. I think he's a great player. They've got a few other pieces I like too. But Ja has been very uncertain for them, and I think that matters.
I like this comment. Grizzlies got too many first-round picks for y'all to be talking about a rebuild. Don't teams that are rebuilding typically stockpile first-round picks?
That's very true.
Now
Okay,
that
right?
that doesn't mean everybody does. Obviously, OKC has a ton of picks, but the point is, I don't know that it's necessarily a rebuild. I think
Yeah.
the word that you'd look for with the Grizz would be a retool, because there are pieces there that could help them win games. It's more of a retool that I'd be looking for. If they can smooth things over with Ja and they can make it work, fantastic. I just think it may be time to move on from the Ja Morant era and look ahead to brighter days. And I think the draft capital that the Grizz do have can help them make that transition and make it more of a smooth transition. So maybe retool is the right word.
Well, the thing with retool or with smoothing it over with Ja is, like I just said, how long until he's a malcontent again? If it is what it is, then he's just going to wind up right back here again. Because he was killing it after they made even before they fired the coach last year, when they made adjustments to put the ball back in his hands and let him play the way he wanted to play. We talked about it all year, how like he was like very much below in terms of usage, minutes, shot attempts, everything was below career numbers. And then all of a sudden, if you look at his month by month chart, it shoots up towards the end of the year. And he's around like 30 points per game because they made a shift there. They fire the coach, it continues. But this year we're back in the same spot. He doesn't want to play these free-flowing, get everybody involved offenses, which is maybe where he has a bit of a problem potentially if they do trade him to Miami, hypothetically. But at what point does he become a malcontent again? Like, he's got to, I think, figure this out. And also, you need to help yourself. Help me help you. Because there's no reason you should be a 17% three-point shooter either. You're leaving meat on the bone. You could average maybe 3-4 more points if you could hit that shot a night, right?
He's got to get better there. But that's been the case for his career.
Yeah.
All right. Want to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, and that is Sleeper. They do an absolutely fantastic job. I went over on the Sleeper app and made some picks. You guys should use our code Bulletin. Get a 100% match on up to $100 with Sleeper. Again, we always appreciate it when you guys help support the companies that support us and keep us going, keep us growing. The link is in the description down below. I went ahead and made some picks for a few of these games that we have coming up. I believe all of these ones are tonight. So I made some selections here. Went with Derek White. I made 3 picks here on this one. Look at that. I'm such a Brandon Ingram hater. I went with Brandon Ingram over on 5.5 rebounds against Charlotte. Charlotte, very fast-paced team. I think there's going to be a lot of shots taken, a lot of misses, a lot of opportunities for rebounds. Derek White, I've got him over 4.5 rebounds against Minnesota. And then Jamal Murray, more than 6.5 assists against the Phoenix Suns. I think that's going to be a battle, Denver and Phoenix tonight. Denver lost to San Antonio last night, so I think they're going to come out really firing in this one. Donnie, we touched upon quite a bit. Whoops. Sorry. I took
Donnie me out of this.
Didn't even mean to.
Every time.
Hit the wrong button there.
Yeah. I wanted to really quickly touch on this. I don't think people talk enough about a spacing 5 option on the team. It would be, if you want to beat teams like OKC, you need to take Chet or Isaiah away from the rim. It also helps our stars operate better. That would be very nice. They just don't really have that. That's maybe where you shift to playing some small, though, I guess, if you're JJ.
Yeah, that would be the LeBron at the 5 option. I think LeBron is the small ball 5 option for this group.
Yeah. It would be nice to have a 6'10", 6'11", like you know what it is? It's the Maxi Kleber archetype, but just not Maxi, probably.
For sure.
Like somebody that's actually just a smidge better, because he's come back down to earth. He's been a better defensive player otherwise and stuff, but maybe that archetype, but just not Maxi.
It's Maxi, but better. Yeah. Maxi. But better than Maxi. All right, everybody. We appreciate y'all for joining us. Appreciate you for commenting here. Guys, if you haven't done so yet, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for jumping in. We decided, we would jump on here and just have some fun here on a Saturday, talk some trades, get into some things here, and thought we got through a lot. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications as well. Till next time, everybody. See ya, and stay safe.